Hi, I'm Tayva Singer from CaliQuiltCo.com, and this is our unofficial Grinch headquarters. Today I'm going to teach you how to make the Burrito pillowcase method, starring one of our favorite Grinch pillowcase kits that we sell in our shop. The first thing you do when you open up your pillowcase kit is open your instructions. The first thing we'll have you do is to take the flange, or the accent piece, and iron it wrong sides together. So what that means is I take it over like this, and I'm going to iron it in half. It does not have to be exact, but you want it to be as close as possible. Slide that down. Now, if you're a brand new beginner sewer, I actually recommend you don't put this piece in. And I'll explain why a few more steps in, okay? So if this is your very first one, you might be more successful leaving this piece out, okay? Now, per the instructions, it talks about if you have a directional print. A directional print means that there's a definite top or a bottom. And with this one, this is what we'd consider more of a tossed, where it could be the top here, it could also be the top here. So it doesn't matter which one. If you have a fabric that it does matter, follow the instructions. You'll actually put down your cuff. This is the cuff of your pillowcase, and you're going to put it down right side up, but if this was directional, I'd actually have my top here at the bottom, okay? So the first step here is I'm going to iron this nice and flat. And it's one of those things, if the iron isn't convenient, it's worth inconveniencing yourself and getting the iron. It really does make a difference and help you have a better looking pillowcase. Now, if this is your very first one, you're going to skip this step, perhaps, okay? It's something I recommend, and I'll show you why in a bit. But for now, I put down my flange, or the accent strip. Now, I open up the body of the pillowcase. And with this, I want to, again, look if there's a direction. Is there a definite top or bottom? When I look at this, this could be the top, this could be the top, and so it doesn't matter. So in this case, I'm going to choose this to be my top, and I'm going to put it face down. So I'm going to line it up pretty close. And now, the burrito part. I'm going to take the body of the pillowcase, kind of fold it up. Careful not to fold it all the way to the top, because I don't want to sew this into the seam. And now I'm going to roll it. This can be my little burrito that I'm making. And now I bring the bottom side, this cuff, up. Now we pin. So with this part, now I want to be very, very particular and fussy, and I actually like to start at the very middle. And I make sure that now this matches up towards the top. I have my fabric, and now the bottom side of the cuff, and I like to pin this way instead of going along. It makes it easier when I go to pull the pins out. That isn't a right or a wrong way, it's your personal preference. This is just what I like to do. These pins that I'm using, I like these ones a lot. With these ones, I like that this is a really nice comfort grip to grab on. If you have those old-fashioned glass head pins, those pins are really great when you're making apparel and sewing clothes, because you're able to iron right over the top of them without melting them. And then but that's the only time I like them, because those are really hard for my big fingers to grab onto. So I really prefer these. I think they consider it a comfort grip, but I really like them. They're called magic pins, and this is just the standard silk pin size. Okay, so I finish ironing all this up. These are considered heat resistant, which means that I can probably melt it if I try really super hard, but I've ironed right over the top of them without melting them. Okay, so I have that pinned. Now I come finish this side of my little burrito. So I keep checking to make sure I'm getting all of my pieces lined up at the top, as perfect as I can. Some people will call these the 15-minute pillow. I try not to put time on it because I just want it to be fun, but it really does go quick. Your first one will take you maybe half an hour, and after that you just get faster and faster as you go. Okay, so now that that's pinned, I'm going to come over to my machine and I just turn it on. I don't have to put any special setting. I did put in a fresh needle because fresh needles always give you a nice clear punch through the fabric. You don't have bigger holes than you want. It makes a difference. So I really do like to put fresh needles in. So I did. I like to change my needle either with every fresh project that I start or every 8 hours of sewing. Needles are an inexpensive way to make your project turn out. Now I'm going to put start with my needle down. Here we go. I'll do a little back tack. Oh, this is moved over. Okay. Do a little back tack. So as you can see, I like to have my needle stop in the down position, and I like that because that way it keeps anything from shifting or moving while I'm adjusting my hands and moving the fabric forward. Now when I teach beginning sewing or when I'm teaching kids, I've done lots of birthday parties where the kids all learn how to make a pillowcase. And when I'm teaching those classes, I like to use clips because I don't want kids that haven't been around sharp needles and pins to stab themselves. And so those Wonder clips, they're awesome. Absolutely love those. But in general, I really prefer a pin because it really holds it nice and tight. And you have to, when you're working with Wonder clips, remember not to let it get stuck on this front plate of your machine. But if I were sewing this right now with Wonder clips, the only thing different I would do is as I sew forward, I would just kind of lift to make sure it doesn't get stuck on that little bobbin plate, that little cover. If you purchase one of our pillowcase kits, we recommend that you do not pre-wash anything. This is all high quality quilter's cotton. It does not need to be pre-washed. And I'm going to do a nice little back tack. You do not have to back tack. I'm going to be cutting all of that part off, but I like to back tack because of the stress I'm going to put this seam on under in just a moment. Okay, so that's my first seam done. Now comes the fun part, okay? We get to pull this inside or right side out. So we just made that. You can see, like, that doesn't look very pretty, not to me, okay? But now I'm going to pull it right side out. And through the magic of this method, I will now have a beautiful finished French seam. French seams are totally finished and polished looking. It gives that really professional, nice look to everything. And it's that, to me, it's that difference of something looking handmade or homemade. It's all made with love. It's all really good, but I like that handcrafted, handmade look personally. Okay, so now we have this, and you can see from the back side that we don't see that ugly seam anymore. It's all really beautiful. Okay, so now what I need to do is iron this flat. And this time, when I'm ironing this, I like to use, I have these magic mister bottles, and it gives you a nice, well, I just filled it up, a nice even spray. I like to give it a little water. And now I'm going to iron this all the way up to the top, nice and flat. Now, when you're a beginning sewer and you're learning how to sew and make a pillowcase with the flange, sometimes what happens is your seam goes a little bit wiggly. And it's one of those things that when you turn it right side out, you can't tell that it's wiggly unless you have the flange and you have a wiggly flange. Now, if you're making a Dr. Seuss pillowcase, having a wiggly flange is not a problem because the fabric looks so wiggly intentionally. But it's one of those things that when you're first just getting started and you're wanting things to look as nice as possible, I recommend skipping that part until you get really good at pinning. Okay, now just as an added little check, I like to just flip it over and make sure that that all looks nice and smooth and I don't have a big bend or fold in there. And that looks nice. Okay, so now for step 2, I'm going to give the body of the fabric a quick iron. I didn't iron it in the very beginning because I was going to crinkle it all up and roll it up inside there. You can iron it the first time too if you'd like. It's up to you. Right now, I'm not even doing like my greatest, best job of ironing. I'm just trying to smooth it out. Okay, good enough. Now we're going to, without trimming anything, so as you look here, you can see that the selvage is still on the fabric. I'm not going to trim that off. First, instead, I'm going to sew. So I keep all of this selvage still intact. All of it is still on the fabric, and I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to pin and sew before I trim. And that's very counterintuitive because we first want to pin and make or trim everything, make it look all perfect. But all I'm interested in right now is getting this nice and flat and even, which that looks nice and flat and even. And then I want to take a marking tool and I'm just going to draw a straight line. After you've made a few of these, you don't necessarily even need the straight line. But for right now, you can look and see how this was not as exact as I want it to be. This is more narrow and this is wider. And that's okay, it doesn't matter. We're gonna fix that up. You'll never know that. Now, this actually, because of the selvage being so bright, I'm gonna just follow that line right inside of that. I don't have to draw a line there. And now I'm just going to put in a few pins to help hold this in place. I will come over here to make sure that this lines up nice. Put one pin in that way. With these pins, I'm actually going to put them right along in the direction that I'm sewing. Okay, now we sew our second seam. The one thing to be watching is when I'm first trying to sew over the flange, I have a lot of layers of fabric. So I just really want to be slow and careful and take my time. I will start by back tacking. Go nice and slow. And I want that, I'm going to put a lot of strain on that seam. So I do a little back tack there. You don't have to. I just know how I wash things and shake them. So it's worth the extra little bit right there. The first time I was making pillowcases, my husband thought I was crazy. He's like, what are you doing? You don't need to be, I was making holiday pillowcases for some little second cousins. He's like, that's a weird gift. Why are you giving a pillowcase? I'm like, pillowcases are fun. Cut it out. Don't wreck my joy. Go away. And he thought I was just super, super crazy. And then when I finished them all and he saw them, he thought they were so cute. And then he wondered where his was. And I'm like, I didn't make you one because you thought I was so nuts. And he totally wanted one, so I had to make him one too. And now he's like my biggest cheerleader when it comes to pillowcases. He's like, did you make any for 4th of July? I'm like, no. He's like, well, we need some 4th of July pillowcases. He's so funny. The Grinch has been so popular for all the dads, though. When dads see this one, they always want the Grinch. They love it. At the end, I'm also going to do a little tiny back tack. Okay, second seam complete. One more to go. Okay, next, you can see we have this big, ugly mess, right? Now we're going to fix that. So you have a choice. You can just cut it with, and this is why I don't like to pre-trim. Part of what we're going to do is we're going to now go back and cut this, we're going to catch this into the next seam. And so as we go catch it, I'm cutting really super close. I just want to make sure I'm not too close where I actually sew or cut through my seam. And so you can do this with scissors, or if you have a rotary cutter, that's really my preference. That's where you just grab your little rotary cutter, slice it nice and quick. Oops. Except for when you don't. There we go. Now the next side. Rotary cutters make for nice, fast work. And I have taught my little kids how to cut with rotary cutters, but they are sharp. And I just teach them, you know, you have to respect the blades, just like you have to respect the needle. They don't discriminate. They cut everyone. So you just want to be nice and careful. But that was nice and quick. Got all of that trimmed. And now what I'm going to do after I clip those threads is I'm going to turn this inside out. And now I'm going to, with it inside out, I'm going to push out that seam, iron it flat, and then we're going to sew it and it's done. Okay, 3 seams, not bad. I'd like to give it a shake. And I'm going to push this out. Okay, so now when I come to iron, I only have to iron those 2 seams. That's all that matters right now. Push this out. And the next seam. Okay, now I come back to my machine. And this is where I have a 1/4 inch foot, and I'm going to go just a little bit wider than that. A little back tack. The seam allowance here doesn't matter so much. I want it to be small, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I catch what I just trimmed inside this seam allowance so that we don't see that part. Oh, I want to go a little bit more. Let's go another. Yeah, that should be good. So here at CaliQuiltCo.com, we love Grinch. We sell so much Grinch. I think that we are probably the top seller in the country. We love the Grinch that much that we have extra printed every single year. And so that's why I say we're the unofficial Grinch headquarters. This is all licensed fabric. This is not a licensed finished product. This is just a licensed fabric. Now here I'm going to come over this, and I am going to back tack just to really hold that flange in there. Now I will trim, and I'll trim my first thread. And now, as we turn it right side out, we have a finished pillowcase already. Wasn't that fun? Look at that. Now, I can go through, press this out, and iron it, which of course I will do before I give it as a gift, but pillowcases are really fun. They're a non-candy and non-food treat way to celebrate the holidays with the people you love. If you're sending care packages to the kids in college or to grandkids that live across the country or your adult children, pillowcases are loved by everyone. I have never met someone, even up and into their 90s, that didn't appreciate getting a fun little pillowcase. So again, I'm Tayva Singer from CaliQuiltCo.com, and we sell pillowcase kits year-round. Come check us out and see what we can do for you. Thank you.